All right, let's see.
Alrighty, everyone, we'll be going live at 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Um, all right. Just give me a countdown if y'all would. Then we'll start.
Alrighty. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'd like to thank everybody for joining in on this Community Development Committee meeting of April 13th, 2021. First off, I want to do a roll call. I am Councilman Chris Williams. Councilman Wesley Hudson, are you on?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilman Cyril Jefferson, can you hear us?
Chairman, I am here.
Awesome. And Councilman Tyrone Johnson, are you with us?
Chairman Williams, I am here.
All right. We have all members of the committee in place, and I will start off first with first thing on the item agenda is update on the homeless services for Guilford County Continuum of Care. I will turn the floor over to Dr. Pamela Palmer.
Good afternoon, High Point City Council and Community Development Committee. Thank you again for having us as a part of your agenda and meeting today. We have with us, or I have with me, in terms of representing the COC, Brian Hahn, who is the Executive Director of Partners Ending Homelessness, and Heather Sheen, who is representing Guilford County as the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services of Guilford County. And I was looking for Cherry, but I don't see her yet. But at any rate, so they are joining me today. I'm going to defer to Brian, and then Brian will bring in the county. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Great to be with you. Great to see you. Full disclosure, I just was on another call with Sherry, and I said, "Oh, there's no video. It's just all audio." So my apologies if I've set her up. But she is, and Heather will introduce her in a minute. But we're thrilled. For me, I think the primary introduction I want to do for you today is, Dr. Palmer and I have been monthly for at least 6, 7, 8 months, sharing with you all the work that's been happening with the Guilford COC, our efforts to stay together and unified. We're really proud of that work. We're thrilled with the county's leadership in stepping up. And so we wanted to invite Heather Skeens, the Director of Health and Human Services from the county, to, instead of us speaking, we can't speak for the county. We thought it'd be better if someone from the county could speak for the county. So Dr. Palmer and I've had the privilege of really working with Heather a good bit on this transition. So I'll do that. I'll pass the baton to Heather, and then if Sherry is able to make the call, we'll certainly introduce you to her too. So.
Good afternoon. So I'm Heather Skeens, the Department of Health and Human Services Director for Guilford County, and this is my first invitation to this Community Development Committee. So not real sure what you want to hear about, but I see that Sherry just joined us, Sherry Neal. I'm not sure if she can hear us, but she has just joined us, started in her new role yesterday. So just about 16 hours on the job. Sherry has been with the Department of Social Services for many years, serving in several capacities, but did a lot of work as a supervisor prior to, I think, leaving us and then coming back. Did a lot of work in our services intake unit, providing services to veterans, to our community, working with our homeless population on housing options, working with Lions Club on glasses for individuals who could not afford to receive glasses. So kind of all over the place in our services intake unit, and has been most recently in our social work program and child welfare, doing quality assurance training and other areas related to making sure our protective services, child welfare workers were ready to go out and serve our customers as much as we needed to. And in that, she also helped connect our social workers to many of the resources to serve this population. So very excited to have Sherry here. She is dynamic and engaging, and is really all about the county doing business for the community and ensuring that our community has services that are needed. Very much community involvement. So we did have a panel to interview her that included our partners and county individuals, and Sherry was the unanimous decision and top candidate for this position. So just thrilled to welcome her into this role of the COCCA. So very excited for that. So as Brian indicated, we have been working hard together in partnership to begin to move us forward as a collaborative opportunity. So no pun intended for the collaborative applicant, but a collaboration of work moving forward to make sure we're united in our county, and making sure that we're not, that there's not any discourse as we move forward and trying to work through some of that discourse. So been very excited about our partnership. We've spent a lot of time with HUD working through TA on making sure that the county was set up to be successful. And Brian has been instrumental in that transition to making sure that we're set up. Also, while I have a moment, want to thank Nina for participating in our interviews. She had lots of insight and wisdom as we were going through those applicants and doing those interviews. So I will pause there and see if the committee or any of the council members have questions for myself or Sherry, or if Brian, Dr. Palmer, you want to add anything to that overview.
Okay. Well, let me check through. Is any member of the committee have any questions? All right.
I don't have any questions. Just want to say hello to Director Skeens. It's good to see you again. You were so helpful, and Miss Sharon Barlow, you all came on it and really came and helped a lot of residents back in February, I think it was, where we had the community input meeting. The county's been disseminating a lot of funds for the utility assistance and the rental assistance. So just want to say a big thank you to you. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we still have funds available. So we would love to do some more community work in High Point related to our rental assistance. We're also about to get more funds, we believe, for rental and safe drinking water, which we think will be very beneficial to High Point, since your utility and for the city of High Point, since your utility and water bills are often connected. So if there's any additional opportunities, we would love to come and partner in your community at faith-based organizations or community organizations related to that program.
I'm hopefully someone from staff heard that and taking notes, because that's an opportunity we definitely don't want to pass up. Is there any other questions? I have just one question. And forgive me, Dr. Palmer, if we covered this before. I have had a few nights sleep since the last time we discussed. Is there any like a plan or a opportunity to help the homeless receive any of the vaccines that are out now? Is there something in place to, because I know people with resources, they have tricky time trying to understand how to connect to. I think the easiest one I've shared was And thank you once again for Guilford County just having it together when it counts. Was the FEMA site out in Greensboro. A lot of people have gone through that because it's a really simple step to get access. And Councilmember Jefferson even came up with a few options too. But I was just curious.
Hey, Nina. Okay. All right. I just want you to know because Mike sent that to me.
Michelle?
Michelle, you're live.
So I turn the floor back over to Dr. Palmer, Brian, or Heather.
Go ahead, Dr. Palmer. Yep.
I was going to say that, so our shelter leaders that operate our shelters meet every Wednesday in a task force type structure. And they share what the needs are as it relates to shelters. And when the opportunity for vaccinations became available, that happened in a variety of ways to get our homeless friends vaccinated. I will stop short of just saying that it is that our homeless friends volunteer to be vaccinated. But they were all given the opportunity to do so in a variety of ways. I will say, because I've been at the YWCA of Greensboro for a little bit here, the last couple of months, none of the adults that are at this emergency family shelter agreed to do the vaccination. We have a nurse on site. She did educational sessions with the residents and they chose not to do so. But there've been a variety of opportunities for them to be vaccinated. And so Brian, I'll let you pick up there.
Yeah, I'll just say this goes, Dr. Palmer's right, back to our task force that started over a year ago when Dr. Van stepped up and her team, public health, to work closely with us on setting up the county hotel to test, quarantine, isolate as needed for our entire shelter system. That was unbelievable. I mean, we have moved over 1,100 clients safely into shelter in the past, 13 months, and kept the positive rate at about 6%. And we couldn't have done that without public health. And then Heather and her team and emergency services, when the vaccine distribution starts to come, they create us our own link for our staff and for our clients to register. And Dr. Palmer's right, though not everyone is comfortable with that, we've been trying to do as much education as we can. So again, we couldn't be more appreciative of the partnership. I told Heather just the other day, just the way the operation's been, just from my experience right over here at the HPU campus, was first class. I mean, from the registration to the volunteers and the staff, everything. And so we're really, really appreciative of that. So Heather, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. And then I'm going to say one more thing before we go, but go ahead, Heather.
Sure. We are really working on, at this point, vaccination hesitancy. We are beginning to see that be a serious impact in our community. And we're fortunate that we have vaccinations right now, that we have not been able to schedule individuals to come receive vaccination. So we know that there's some vaccination hesitancy going on. I think coupled with this most recent article in news media around the J&J vaccination, it's created some additional concerns related to particularly that vaccination. So we believe that we will be receiving one of our mobile vans about mid-May, and hope to begin to get out in communities to address those individuals that are harder to reach, that may not have access to internet, have phones that are able to call. We have started a very, very, very small amount of homebound vaccinations last week. That is a very resource-driven opportunity. It takes lots of folks to be able to ensure that the vaccination is transported correctly and all that information is in. So I think there'll be some additional opportunities to try to reach those really difficult individuals to reach. The other thing I would say, and I would put a plug in for, is that we do offer free transportation to our vaccination centers. So if there are individuals who are hesitant because they can't get there or don't feel like they have an individual that will help them once they get to the vaccination center, we can manage all of that through our transportation opportunities. Brian?
Yeah, that, and I just wanted to come back to one other, if I could get back up. Is that good, Mr. Williams, on the vaccine front? Is that helpful? Great. I just want to say one really, I think, pretty significant thing for the council to hear. I think we're at a pretty amazing moment here where, you know, Greensboro is not creating their own COC. That's why the Stronger Together came together. The county stepped up in a huge way. And now, even with the TA support that we have from HUD, I was sharing this just with Sherry, who I filled her week up with meetings already. I apologize, but there's so much good work happening that the collaboration of two cities and county leadership around this work is the best I have seen in my 4+ years here. And I'm really excited about Sherry's involvement and Heather's involvement going forward, that some of the reports that we're going to be able to share with you are going to be strategic around this work, that we're pretty excited where it's going to go in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, it's kind of crazy thinking what we've been able to accomplish in the middle of a pandemic. So anyways, I just think you should be very proud of where things stand. And again, your staff, we can't tip our hats off enough to Mike and his team, Michelle and Nina, and super, super supportive. And we're very appreciative of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, we see the good work going on all kinds of levels, and that your handling during the pandemic is unparalleled. I'm very grateful for that, because that was like one of my biggest concerns. It was, you know, when underserved communities and so forth, we didn't have access. That was the big piece, but what I'm finding is that we're still more basically pushing the message to get people to accept the vaccine. That's the bigger problem than actual access. So I think that speaks volumes of what your work is doing. So thank you all for your help on that. All right. Is there any other questions or anything other that the members of the committee want to share with the room? All right. Thank you, Dr. Palmer, Brian, Heather, and all your team. Appreciate you quite a bit. All right. Next up, I will turn the floor over to Mike McNair. He's going to cover the 2021-22 annual action plan. Mike.
Thank you, sir. Let me get my screen here. I'm going to show you something you don't need to see. Okay. You know, it's that time of year where we have to do our annual action plan. We're in that process now, coming around the final turn. And we're going to cover the plan with you this afternoon. And the next presentation will be at council on May 3rd. And some of the stuff, and I'll just go ahead and dive in. Some of the stuff you're already familiar with, you know that this is, we have a 5-year consolidated plan. Our action plan comes out each year and is tied into that plan. So this is year 2 of the 5-year consolidated plan that was approved last year. The plan, again, is based on strengthening neighborhoods through affordable housing, community capacity building, and strategic code enforcement. One of the things I think you're also familiar with is that we utilize HUD Income Guidelines for all of our HUD-funded programs. And these income guidelines are based on the incomes in our MSA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area, for High Point and Greensboro. So these are local to us. They're updated every year. So when people seek assistance from us, one of the first questions we'll ask is, what's your household income? So if you're a single person and your income does not exceed $37,050, then you are eligible to receive some kind of assistance or benefits in those programs. If it goes over that, then we can't assist you with HUD funds. So it's, as the family sizes increase, sometimes it gets complicated because we have to account for all the incomes. If you have parents with adult children or other adults living in the household, we have to account for all the income, and oftentimes they'll go over that guideline. And by any means, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me and I'll stop. Our proposed budget this year is expected to be approximately $2.6 million. You can sort of see the different funding sources. There are a couple of numbers that are still in flux. For instance, we don't really know yet what the allocation for core city redevelopment will be yet. So the number we're showing is the number from last year. But you can kind of see there's a wide distribution of resources and uses. This kind of shows you as a pie chart the distribution. One thing I just wanted to point out is that our CDBG allocation went down slightly, 18,586, and our home allocation went up 4,548. Now these resources don't include the CDBG CV allocations that we've received. And then there's also an allocation we're expecting to receive in home funds out of the American Rescue Plan. But this doesn't include those. Those will be separate amendments to the action plan. Looking at the other side of it, you can see the multiplicity of programs and activities. There's a lot of different things. In our small crew, we have a lot of things going on. We're trying to leverage resources, leverage partnerships to make a difference in the community. Now, a lot of our activities are ongoing activities. I won't delve into them too deeply. We have down payment assistance, we have emergency repair, we have volunteer income tax assistance. You're familiar with the gardens and the public service grants. I will point out to you though that this house is being built on Cedro in the Cedro subdivision. That picture is probably 3 or 4 weeks old, so it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit farther along. Picture to the left here is a neighborhood group, the pre-pandemic London Woods Neighborhood Association. And then you see a picture of the mobile market that was approved this summer with Growing High Point. So that van was, I believe, donated by the city, and they got it repaired. And then on the bottom here is Avondale Trace, it's Avondale Trace, which just opened. So those types of activities are ongoing activities that you will actually have those out there every year simply because the need can't be addressed in 1 year. So we have to keep plugging away at it. But I do want to focus in on some new activities and take a little time to slow down a little bit, take a little time to talk to you about those. Oh, I'm sorry. We do have public service grant recommendations. These agencies submitted applications and was reviewed by the CAC, and this was the CAC's recommendation as far as the agencies and the amounts, and total recommended funding is $70,000. And all of those, the details, you can see the actual, little blurb of what they do, but the details are included in the draft of the action plan, which you can find on our website. Soar is one of the new programs I wanted to talk with you about. Soar is a program that's conducted by the Servant Center, which has been operating in Greensboro. Because most of their funding comes from Greensboro, their focus has been on Greensboro. We've had interactions with them about coming to High Point. And basically, what they do is target individuals who are either currently homeless or about to be, or at risk of becoming homeless and have a disabling condition, and they assist them in the application process for SSI and SSDI benefits. This will be a pilot. Hopefully, they'll seek other funding once they get started here, and I think this will be a long-term improvement in the area and a resource for our homeless citizens here in High Point. Hartley Medals is a development that was actually in last year's action plan. The project was not approved by the state, but due to some changes in the state's application process, the developer feels very strongly that he will get approved this year. We're proposing in the action plan to loan him $300,000 from home funds. This is actually across the street from Hartley Ridge. It's right at the corner of West Hartley and I can't think of the name of the street now. But they've already gone through the site scores. They received the highest possible site score. So that's one part that's underway. Windover Heights, we talked about this on the manager's briefing a couple of weeks ago. This project will be up at 5,000 West Windover, should be 216 units. This will be using tax exempt bonds, and the city will be coming to you on the 3rd of May, asking you to approve a inducement resolution so that he can complete his application and submit it to the state. And that resolution will say basically if the state approves the funds, then the city will issue the bonds. So we were trying to kind of lay the groundwork to make sure that everybody understood and didn't have any real questions or concerns. We're on our schedule. So you can see, we're now almost through. We're going to have a public hearing. Of course, we're here before you today. We're going to have a public hearing before council on May the 3rd. And then we'll request approval at the meeting on the 5th. And then we'll submit the plan to HUD. And then HUD will approve the plan June, July, August timeframe. And then we can get rolling on the next program year activities. And that's all I got, Mr. Chair. I was trying to be mindful of your time. Let me unshare my screen. Are there any questions for me?
No, thank you, Mike. I think I think the term you use on laying the groundwork, and you've done quite a bit leading into this presentation. So I think I'm up to speed on a lot of it. Are there any questions of the committee to Director McNair or staff?
Hey, Mike, this is Councilman Jefferson. Thank you for sharing the update. Wanted to maybe further clarify, Soar is coming in, and I know that they work with individuals experiencing homelessness to support them as they apply for benefits and hopefully get through that whole process. What sort of collaboration did you say we would have with organizations, the many nonprofit partners who are doing that work? Do you mind expounding on that just a little bit more, so that way we, can be as effectual as possible in supporting our residents?
Cyril, I'm sorry, I didn't catch all. You turn my volume up. I didn't catch all that.
You just want me to say it again, Mike. You just want me to say it again. You want me to say it again. No, I'm kidding. No, I was wondering, because you talked about Soar, I know, coming in, and they do the work for the benefits, I believe. I was wondering if you can expound on what our efforts will be, or at least the planned effort will be, to collaborate with our many nonprofit partners and other service agencies who traditionally serve those experiencing homelessness, I guess, to ensure that kind of opportunity reaches those who need it the most. Can you expound on that a little bit more?
Yeah, well, I think it's become evident. We're spread out with a lot of different agencies. We're active in the COC and other agencies. We're always looking for opportunities to leverage with other people. We do most of our work working through others. There's only 17 of us down here. So, and 7 of those are code enforcement. So, we do a lot of interaction with community groups, neighborhoods. One of the things we're talking about now is, as some of this funding is coming forward, we can't work with that in a vacuum. we've got to, if we're going to do something in the homeless services arena, we need to be talking to the people who provide the services, so that we can figure out what's the best way to go forward. One of the things I'll share with you, yesterday, the HUD secretary, we just got notification, we hadn't got notification yet, but we saw online that we're supposed to get about $1.9 million in home funds to the provision of affordable housing to help eliminate homelessness. Okay, now part of the conundrum there is you can't use home funds to build shelters. So the director came out and said yesterday, what we want to do is have permanent affordable housing for the homeless to live in. And that's, that's challenging. We're thinking about it and talking about it. We'll certainly be talking to you guys, Pam and Brian and Heather, pretty soon. But so a lot of that stuff requires us, as we receive the information, try to figure out how do we implement it, how do we make it work. We still have another CDBG CV allocation that we have not programmed yet, because we are trying to get a better understanding of how we can use it in a way that's just not a me too. We don't want to just duplicate all the other programs that are out there, because everybody's got rental assistance, everybody's got utility assistance. We're looking for an opportunity to do something that's unique to High Point, that meets a High Point need. And we try to conceptualize that by talking with different people in the community, of course, talking to council members or whoever is willing to talk to us. But I'm not sure that I answered your question. I think I went off on a tangent. But did I?
I could, Mike, this is Nina. Could I add just a little bit to that?
By all means.
Okay. One of the things, Councilman Jefferson, and to the other council members, that the director, her name is Shanna Reese, over at the Servant Center. And they, of course, are very active in the Guilford COC. But one of the things that Shanna is doing when it comes to the High Point initiative is actually looking for space, so that it will be very convenient for those that they are serving to actually be able to access those services in High Point. So she is actively looking for space right now that she will be able to provide staff here in High Point. And that's one of the things that she is going to lean very heavily on our department when it comes to making those connections and getting contacts and getting involved with the local agencies. They do currently work with many of the agencies in High Point. It's just that they're very limited in what they can do with High Point due to the funding constraints. Thank you.
Thank you, Nina.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Chairman Williams, this is Councilman Moore. I have one quick question for Mike before we leave on this presentation. The numbers you were sharing in the proposal, then you mentioned possibility of American Relief Funds coming down. When do you anticipate any confirmation on that?
Well,
as we go into budget season.
I have very limited information. I can only tell you what they've already published. They've said that we're supposed to receive half of the funds May 15th, I believe, of the city, that is. I think the city's supposed to receive an allocation of, I think it's 23.5 or 23.4 million.
Okay, I misunderstood, and I thought you were talking specifically funds that may be coming down for your particular area.
Well, there will, part of that 23 million, there will be a home allocation in that.
Okay.
A home program allocation that has been already published. That'll be 1.98 million, I believe. But it's oddly enough, I think you have 9 years to spend it. I don't tend to wait around that long. I'd like to put it into action as soon as we can figure out the best use.
Good.
But beyond the other stuff, Britt, is just until the Treasury releases information, because it's broken up into little groups. And so like even with the home fund stuff, it said, when you look at the legislation, it said, well, $5 billion in home funds. We're like, well, okay, there's 651 recipients. What does that mean to me? And that's the part we don't understand yet, is how does that break off to us? And then what are the limitations? Because there's some things in there that cities don't do.
Right.
So it's just, I think.
So it's still very much a work in progress.
We're still waiting on the, great, go ahead. We're still waiting on.
Mr. Chairman, Jennifer Emo shared this afternoon that they were expecting Treasury guidance in May. And I think it would be sometime after or around May 10th.
So in other words, we'll get the guidance before the money's released, which kind of helps.
Hopefully.
Yeah, some of the stuff that happens in the past was that we saw the funds come up front and then the regulations to follow, or the restrictions afterwards, and that's not good always. So thank you, Greg. Is there any other questions for staff? All right.
Yes, this is Councilmember Wesley Hudson. Mr. McNair, first of all, thank you for the work that you all have done, and you and your staff have done this year. It's exemplary work in what is, needless to say, a very challenging, difficult year. Would you like us to take action to move this to council for you? Is that necessary?
Yes, we would ask you to vote to recommend it to council for approval.
Okay, I would, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we move this to council for full vote with a favorable recommendation.
I second, Councilman Williams. I second that.
Okay. The motion originally from Councilman Hudson, and I think Councilman Jefferson, Councilman Johnson beat you to you the second one. So is there any other discussion on this motion? All right. So we will take roll, and I'll start with Councilman Hudson. How do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
All right, that motion passes and it moves forward to the general body for vote. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for all the work you and your team put in, and everyone else involved. I think that this is just another example of High Point successes, always based in collaboration, and
yes,
it shows through pretty much everything we do when we work in partnership with others. All right, is there any other business on any other discussion from the committee members?
Partnerships, that's the key.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, this motion from Councilman Jefferson, seconded by Councilman Hudson. Is there anyone that objects to adjourning?
Shout out to Brian Hahn and Dr. Palmer. Y'all have become regular attendees at these meetings. We gotta get y'all nameplates next time.
I agree. You've made
yes, absolutely.
Committee members, including myself. So thank you both.
Hey, teamwork makes the dream work, right?
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
you.
If there's nothing else,